All right, so it looks like there's more geopolitics bullshit that I have to, and culture war bullshit that I have to talk about. But before we get to that, I do know that I have a backlog of videos I have to get to. So I will probably, like, again, bounce around between them. But for today, I know I promised this a while ago to the guy, but finally getting to it. I didn't forget. It's been a little hectic and my queue was completely out of order because I'm bad at time management. So we are going to today be reacting to the silencing by Rivunami. Let me reload this just to make sure that it's. This thing has been on like my tabs for a while now. But I haven't watched it yet because I wanted to again do a live reaction to it, like I've been doing with the other ones, live reaction, then attempt to analyze what is going on. It's not the only video that's been pushed back. Again, the video promised 3,000 years ago, right? To our people, it got pushed back 2 weeks. So things happen. But unlike the trucker video, that one will eventually come out. Much like the Cinder files with Mama Oko, right? The files did actually start coming out. Again, unlike the trucker video. But anyway, shitting on dev, notwithstanding, let's get to it. I do know that someone is working on a video that will explicitly cameo Rivunami, so I do know that that's in the works. I don't know shit about it though, so don't ask because I don't know anything about it. I just know that it is coming. Oh, is that the cheddar cheese Doritos? Oh, this is so good.
We interrupt your regularly scheduled brain roll with a message from the She Who Must Grin.
From She Who Must Grin. So, are we watching a hijacked broadcast? Like, I know that that's happened a couple times in history, where like the broadcast was like the actual station was hijacked. So, is that basically what's going on here? She's got legs, I can tell you that.
Just take home and hear my verse. They're not like you, but something worse. LLMs in human shells.
Oh, I'm already liking the direction of this one.
Better off in all nine hells.
Yeah, I mean, I still use Blue Sky. I don't get any traction on Blue Sky, but the only reason I have a Blue Sky is because there's a number of artists that are on there, and the art is beautiful sometimes. Not all the art on there is beautiful. Let's be fair. There is some fascination with the uglification of, of society in some of these artists' circles. But just from like a technical perspective, there's a lot of like really like interesting pieces that are on Blue Sky. But I've had to so many times fix my algorithm on Blue Sky, and it still gives me politics shit. And I'm like, I don't give a shit about what some Marxist has to say, to be perfectly honest. I really don't. I don't care for the economic Gnostic. Like, get the fuck away from me, right? Oh my god. Damn, that's a savage line. Fair enough. The Pepe memes are, oh my god. I remember back when everyone was talking about internet meme magic with Pepe, and all the fucking really odd synchronicities at the time, right? The Chatelet, my brother, Chatelet, right? Hold on. Oh, he's even got a Let's Go Brandon the shirt on. Okay.
So we're all lost and isolated, and our groves all desecrated. Be still, my friends.
Wait a minute. What is the meaning of this card? Is that a tarot card that I just don't recognize? It's got the number 14 on there, and I'm not too familiar with tarot. I just know that, like, tarot was originally a game that was played. It wasn't actually a divination tool.
Don't give them trust before they try to silence us.
Oh, I like that beat. I like that sound.
Before they try to silence us. Before they try to silence us. Before they try to silence us.
Wait a minute, is this a collab? Hold on. I saw that. Is this a collab? Rivunami featuring She Who Grins and the Rictus Crew. And Avirosa Media Product. I don't know what Avirosa Media is. I'm gonna have to check that out. But I didn't know that this was a collab. If this is a collab.
Before they try to silence us. A mainstream crowd that isn't their analogy to underwear. Pretend
That's a fucking funny visual pun, visual joke, to be perfectly honest. Yeah, I mean, obviously they're referring to the modern audience, and then like the over puritanical, like everything is sexual even when it's objectively not kind of deal. It's like, yeah, fair enough.
like the kids you led astray. Wonder why they've turned away. Literacy like banana rice. They'd much rather break the ice. A virtue signal in every thread. Locked and hidden in time for bed.
I can already tell I'm gonna have like a lot to say during the second pass. Damn, there's actually a lot here.
No more leering the neuron seeds. Our voices echo amongst the trees.
I do like the 3D anime effect that they're giving in some of these rotations. Again, I do have a sneaking suspicion the future of AI, like image generation, will include things like giving the AI a 3D model that it can then modify to specification and then use that as a template to trace over. But that's just a guess that I have that's just a guess I have. Because that's kind of what we do when like we draw, is like we create this model in our head of like a 3D form, and then we try to translate that 3D form that we see in our head or that we see visually, and then we translate that into a flat two-dimensional image. Now, I learned how to draw by eyesight, right? I'm better at that than like drawing straight from my head, but that's because my mind's eye isn't exactly the best. But
We're lost and isolated.
this is Kirsha in Smugalana, and obviously we saw Leaflet and Rev earlier.
In dark groves all desecrated. Be still.
I'm pretty sure that's Zentreya, actually. I think Rivunami told me something about Zentreya being in her, like, the uniform that got her in trouble on here. So I'm pretty sure that's what this is, who this is Zentreya.
Oh, my friends, don't give them trust before they try to silence us.
again, so barring the fact that the lyrics are also really interesting so far, the song itself, just as its own standalone, if you didn't know, like, let's say hypothetically you didn't understand English, right? So this was all just background noise to you. The music's actually pretty good too. Like, even if this was just if you stripped out the words, which again I think are actually pretty interesting on their own. If you just stripped away the words and this was completely instrumental, this is actually something I would have on my playlist. This is actually really good. I couldn't tell you why because I don't know shit about music theory, but
We have no phobia, no fright.
it's Vivian James.
What a scenic vista, that bridge at night.
This fucking, oh my god, this fucked me up when I saw, because oh my god, yeah, yeah, this one, yeah, yeah, I know exactly what scene this is from. This fucked me up when it happened. It's like, oof. I'm not gonna get into that.
We're lost and isolated in dark groves all desecrated. Be brave, my friends. You have our trust, 'cause they will fail to silence us. They twist and warp
Is that Bridget?
all that we see.
But I'm pretty sure the angel we saw earlier is Rivunami. I'm pretty sure of that. I'm not entirely, like, I might be wrong, but oh my god. Okay, yeah, hold on. Again, when we go through the second round, we're gonna do one pass for the lyrics, maybe two, and then we're gonna do a pass for the visuals, because there's a lot of, like, I can see, yeah, I can see why he suggested this be the one that I see first.
A rule for me, but not for thee. Rest easy, friends. Their hearts are dust. They'll never dare to silence us. They'll never dare to silence
The meme, never let this meme die.
They'll never dare to silence us.
Who was that? Our tiny campfire lights.
You are lost without first. You know the way out. This is how we were somehow.
Honestly, this is a really good. This, yeah, you know what? I can see why he wanted me to react to this. This is actually really good. Hold on, I do need to check something though. What time? When was this released? Give me an exact date. February 6th. Okay, let me check something because I think this released first. And by this, I mean the Rivunami's one. Okay, not that one. Oh, nope, never mind. So that was a reference to the Cream of the Slop. Okay, fair enough. I had to check, but because it was like, okay, hold on, who got it from who? Because it seems like those are, I mean, correlation and causation on its own. But you know, it would be kind of odd to not see those as being like somehow related. So let's see if okay. My first attempt at an AI MV of my own. Honestly, I think this is pretty good, especially if you're just fucking around for the first time. I know if I was fucking around with the AI, I would probably not be able to get this. So, oh, it even says right here, highly inspired by Skybrows, of course. Let's see. Unlike my React videos, I'm not going to be offering timestamps. Your turn to speculate. Although I will say that a good portion of the characters that appear in my own design, Donut Steve, fair. Don't speculate too hard. Okay, so fair enough. Well, I hate to say this, Rivunami, but this is my specialty. I am the one who turned the Mama Brow's song into like an almost 2 hour, the dissertation where I overanalyzed Grok. Overanalyzation is my is my specialty. Let's see, made using Suno and Grok. Fair enough. Let's see. I don't foresee making these frequently, but I do have at least one idea for another eventually. Okay, fair enough. I'm excited to see what you eventually come up with here. Okay, so let's do our second pass. We're gonna focus primarily on the lyrics this time.
We interrupt your regularly scheduled brain rot with a message from the she who must grin.
Okay, so She Who Must Grin, I'm gonna guess, is one of the people who may have been involved in this collaboration. But it's just right. The doom scroll has been interrupted.
Just take home and hear my verse. They're not like you, but something worse. LLMs in human shells.
Okay, that's an interesting. Okay. So that's a really sophisticated way to call someone an NPC, right? A large language model in human shells. Or a philosophical zombie, right? There's no head empty kind of deal, right? There's nothing really behind those eyes. I did like that line, that rhyme though. The verse and worse rhyme in particular, I thought that was actually really clever.
Better off in all nine hells. They're at a 3 or maybe 4, while we're at 7. Strive for more.
Interesting. So, obviously the Nine Hells here, I'm pretty sure is a oblique reference to the Divine Comedy with the 9 circles of hell, right? Most people don't know much more than that, but like I'm pretty sure that that's what is being referred to here. Hold on, let's go. Better off in all 9 hells. Let's see.
They're at a 3 or maybe 4, while we're at 7. Strive for more.
So I mean, obviously, like we're at totally different levels, right? Like they're defined by mediocrity. They're at 3, maybe 4. We're at 7, or strive for more. 7's an interesting number. 7 is like a sign of perfection, right? Or at least that's what it's associated with. 3 and 7 are themselves associated with perfection, depending on the context. In the case of like here, it's almost like a dial. So then 10 or 11 would be the highest gauges. So while they're stuck on the low rung on 3 or 4, we're at 7 and we're climbing up. So again, this is the optimistic view of the conflict at hand. That it's an actual winnable conflict. We're kind of the whole thing like we're fighting retards here, right?
Usual creeps, the motley crew use corpse or sheep to all vote blue.
I mean, yeah, and I don't think I really need to explain this part, right? This is kind of the whole point of like the Save Act is to ensure voter integrity. Now there are problems with it. It's not perfect. No legislation is perfect. But Mentis Waves talks about that. But yeah, we did catch on multiple occasions things that looked like really fucking suspicious voting activity on the specifically the Democrat side. It's always so interesting that it's like, oh yeah, you can't have voter ID because X, Y, or Z reason that is completely ad hoc and makes no sense. It's like, okay, this just sounds like you want illegals to vote for you, to be perfectly honest. Or it's like, oh yeah, like how did these dead people vote? It's like, yeah, are we gonna investigate this any further? No. Okay, well that's not fucking suspicious at all either, is it? It's like,
Unbridled rage burst in at seams just for a fraction of our me.
I think this is a salient observation as well. Because while on our side, for example, the anti-Marxist side, I mean, you can find this on the Marxist side as well, but they're not really the same caliber of person, right? I mean, I did talk to a democratic socialist at one point, and we had a really pleasant conversation, despite the fact that, again, my audio in that recording is fucking awful. On my end, by the way, not theirs. But, you know, we had a respectable conversation, but a lot of these people, it's like what Count Dankula said, is like, you've talked to these people. You've seen that there is like that there's no light behind their eyes when they talk, right? Because they're completely ideologically possessed. And since they can't really articulate what they believe and why they believe it in any meaningful way, or at least they don't believe you will hear them out, you know, instead of going for logic and reason, they choose unbridled rage, which is what you saw earlier in the video. Hold on. Right here, like where you have the fucking summer of love type thing, where it's like, oh yeah, let's just completely destroy our own communities. Why? Oh yeah, fuck if I know, right? I mean, that was one of the reasons why we had the whole Kyle Rittenhouse fiasco. Was it 2 years ago? Time is a mystery to me. To quote Kirsha, right? But that was the whole thing. It's like, okay, well, people are rioting, destroying shit. You know, I know people there, so I need to be able to defend people there, right? So it's like, and I think that's pretty reasonable. But you know, it wouldn't need to have been a thing if these people didn't fucking rip shit up and, you know, cause all kinds of hell. You remember Chaz and all those other fucking nightmarish riots that they had that sometimes lasted for fucking months at a time. Again, they had a literal autonomous zone just to spite, you know, to spite society. You know, I could probably make a reaction video to Short Fat Otaku. I don't like giving him credit, but you know, to his Chaz video, because that one is actually spot on. But yeah. Yeah, like right here is where you see exactly what they're talking about. The unbridled rage. They don't try to reason with you. It's all an exercise in raw power and tantrum throwing, to be perfectly honest. And if you defend yourself, then you're the bad guy. Again, remember the Rittenhouse thing? Okay, back to where we were. And I'm pretty sure this is a veiled "the left can't" meme joke, which, yes, is a thing. Mantis Wave has a whole fucking video on that and explaining why that is. But largely because, again, memes require you to have some ability to react, to understand and interact with reality, which that's similar to like jokes in general too, right? But in the case of like the left doesn't use these structures the same way that, you know, the rest of us do. When the left makes a joke, the whole issue of like leftist jokes aren't funny. All right. The reason why is because leftist jokes aren't about like observational humor or like puns or the interactions between elements that are humorous, right? No, leftist jokes are largely like leftist media. It exists to spit doctrine back at you so that you can be, in a sense, reaffirmed in right think, that you are on the right think course, right? That's why anyone outside of the Marxian cult doesn't really find leftist memes or like jokes funny in general, is unless it's like unintentional, where it's like, wow, damn, that is like that is like absolute stereotype confirmed of leftist memes and joke, right? Or like because that's exactly what it is. It's just like it's not meant to do the same thing that you think a joke or you think a meme is to do. It is to exposit. That's the function of a joke in or a meme in the leftist sphere. And because of that, it doesn't land the same way that it would in any other community, because, you know, most of us aren't exactly ideologically possessed. So I just realized I may have missed that meme. I may have lied. Maybe we're doing visual stuff here too. Right? Is that a reference to the fucking, to when 4chan trolled the right, not the right, when 4chan trolled the left into thinking the OK symbol was a white power symbol because the three fingers are a W, and then the circle made by the index finger and the thumb with the wrist forms a P? Like, is that what's going on here? If that's intentional, that's fucking funny.
So we're all lost and isolated, in dark rooms all desecrated. Be still, my friends, don't give them trust before they try to silence us.
That's, and it, again, these are, I find these lines actually kind of interesting. That is the wrong button. Professional streamer, everyone, right? So we're all lost and isolated. Okay, so it's in dark groves, all desecrated. Okay, let's see, hold on. Be still, my friends. Don't give them trust before they try to silence us. We're all lost and isolated is a interesting observation, because it is in many cases objectively true that, like, the way things are set up right now by the Gramscians, right, and the managerialists, who are themselves, again, just modern, you know, Marxist extensions, is designed to alienate you. This is not a thing that is being pushed by, for example, the fucking libertarians or the conservatives or even the classical liberals or even moderate leftists like Shoe on Head. We all recognize the exact same problem. And that problem is this growing sense of isolation. And it's not just isolation from, like, each other in, like, the sense of, like, people around you, but it's also isolation in the sense of, like, being intellectually isolated. Like, you know, there's no one else to actually form a, you know, communion with. And that is by design, because the entire point of the Gramscian operation is to demoralize you, to make you feel as if you're hopeless and that you cannot possibly win. That way it's not worth actually fighting, right? And that's why, for example, they go after your entertainment. That, you know, so you have no escape valve. That's why they go after, for example, your ability to raise your you know, your kids, to alienate your kids from you. That's why they go after, for example, you at your job. That's why they, you know, through your HR departments, because that's, the HR is the managerial state, you know, doorway into the company. The entire that's why they try to subvert the internet so often, is to actually separate you, to isolate you, so that the only way that you can actually find connection is a fake connection that they themselves control through these networks, right? So that's my rat right there, right? But so yeah, so be still, my friends. Don't give them trust before they try to silence us. And again, the silence part is because I think we all remember how it was actually shown that the Biden and Obama administrations were fucking pressuring, not that they put up a fight, but were pressuring social media companies to censor their political opposition. And yeah, again, they tried to literally silence a quite number of people. There was that whole bullshit thing. You know, that's a bit too specific of an example. I'll leave that be. But yeah, so we have a precedent for them trying to silence us, and even now, like what they're doing with Celestium is an attempt as an attempt at silencing her. They're trying to completely isolate her by destroying her relationships. They're trying to make it impossible for her to actually make any money by destroying her business opportunities. They're trying to destroy her ability to make use of her brand, which is why they went after Makeshift. So, they're trying to stop her from being able to even like reach the people that she's trying to entertain, trying to reach, right? Trying to take they already took Twitch away from her, but that's because Twitch is run by a bunch of fucking idiots who glaze Hassan, so that was not exactly gonna be a hard. I'm not even convinced that it wasn't I'm not even convinced it was an AI that did that rejection. It could have very well been a person who looked at it and was like, nah, fuck you in particular. But I don't know. I can't know that. So yeah, and they're still trying to silence us. The whole woke 2.0 that Shuon had recently talked about is just woke 1.0, because again, they don't believe that they have anything to learn. They are class conscious. They are critically conscious. They believe they already have the answer. So if the world around them doesn't conform to what they believe, it's not that they are wrong. The world is wrong. So anyway, so yeah, be still, my friends. Don't give them trust before they try to silence us. Do not give these people a fucking inch. Do not trust them with anything. They will absolutely abuse your trust.
Still my friends, don't give them trust.
Who is this? Because she appears later in the video. Is this an OC?
Before they try to silence us.
Now, I really like this. Like, it's a double helix with a spire in the center that pierces from the pierces the heavens and like changes, like, again, the overcast sky. And this is interesting because obviously, like, the double helix is usually associated with life. Wait, hold on. Is that a double helix or is that a triple helix? Give me one moment. Let me visually trace this down. Oh, wait, no, never mind. This is actually, it looks like it's a triple helix. But it still gives off, like, from the initial glance, the appearance of, like, DNA, which is, interestingly enough, you talk about memes, right? And memes, DNA of the soul, right? Everyone knows that line. But yeah, this is these are chains, so this is a signifier of bondage, right? The cosmic pillar is usually that which holds up the heavens, but this could very well be like something that pierced through the heavens and collided down with the earth. Although it looks like it might actually be rising from the earth up to the sky. There's a wasteland with all kinds of oh, you know what, this is probably from the scene later, but
Before they try to silence us.
so it's the complete overcast of the entire world, right? The entire world has been overshadowed by these powers.
Before they try to silence us. Before they try to silence us.
I mean, obviously here, like, we're gazing into infinity, right? I don't know what the context here is, but I'm gonna guess that this is like seeing into the infinite possibilities. This is gonna be what my assessment of this likely is. Especially considering that, like, part of this is almost certainly involved the AI creation, which does open up a whole field of possibility that just wasn't possible beforehand. I don't know what this means per se, and I hate that I know this. I hate that I know this because I'm not a big fan of the Hunger Games. I had to read that for college and I was not particularly impressed by it, to be perfectly honest. It's not a bad story, but I prefer my dystopians to, you know, be truly dystopian. Uh, anyway, this does kind of remind me of like one of the one of the fashion designs in the Hunger Games. I don't remember which book or movie it is. I'm pretty sure it appears in both. There's like a dress where it's like it catches on fire, but the fire is like not the correct temperature to burn you, so it's like something you could actually deal with. Visually speaking, is like the something the similar inspiration. Could also be like a visual metaphor for like burn the witch, because the witch is usually female in like coding, but I'm not entirely sure, and I'm not exactly confident in that particular like reading.
Mainstream crowd that isn't there, an allergy to underwear. Protect the kids you led astray. You wonder why they've turned away.
So this is actually, this entire lyric right here is actually really important, because this is very heavily talking about the modern audience, which is something Kirsha has talked about quite often, and she's totally right. The whole thing about the modern audience is that the modern audience doesn't exist. The whole purpose of capturing all entertainment industries and then making everything for a modern audience is that if the new generations don't have anything to access that isn't modern audience directed, then they become the modern audience that is actually being made for, because these people don't know anything else. The whole act of the modern audience entertainment industry is an attempted alchemy. This is why they hate anime, by the way, because anime doesn't do the same thing. They don't do this whole modern audience catering shit. Yeah, but it's an attempt at alchemy to transmute the very audience itself through the entertainment being presented. That's why, for example, us, like, presumably the people watching here, we can't stand modern audience bullshit because we understand it's fake. But the attempt here is to turn lead into gold by creating a new generation that doesn't know any better and is pressured to not know any better. That way, all they know is the modern audience ideological vomit these ideas back into your mouth, and without any kind of real substance. That's the point. So it is an intentional attack on depth, realism, benevolence, and all that stuff. It is in fact a malicious attack on you and your your kin.
Literacy like banana rice. They'd much rather break the ice. A virtue signal.
That's an interesting that is an interesting metaphor. Hold on. Literacy like banana rice. That's just a funny fucking meme. To be perfectly honest, I kind of want to try bananas and rice. Like, just unironically, it's kind of like when I found out about durian, and then I went and I tried durian, and I was like, well, that was awful, but at least I tried it. I ate more of it than I ate it with my father and brother, and I ate more of it than anyone else did. I was in denial that it smelled like sewage until one of the cats smelled it and then started trying to dig. Like, oh, okay, maybe it does smell like sewage. Fair enough. Yeah, I mean, I'll try banana. I'll try the bananas and rice, but this is just a funny fucking line. Like, this is actually funny.
Banana rice. They'd much rather break the ice.
Oh, fuck! What's it called? There's a word in English where it's a word that contains another word. Hold on, I gotta look this up because it's gonna fucking bother me. I remember, funny enough, Vsauce Michael fucking had a whole video on it, which was kind of amusing. I already knew about the subject beforehand. It's just the word itself escapes me. Okay, let's see. A word for... Okay, let's see if it pops up. Kangaroo. Oh my god, that's embarrassing. Okay, so kangaroo words. Yeah, like a kangaroo in the pouch, right? Okay, fair enough. That's embarrassing. Yeah, but ice and rice, where rice is a kangaroo word that contains ice. And like break the ice is an interesting metaphor here, especially because it's like a subversion of the normal means. Because usually break the ice means like to actually start the conversation, right? But here, breaking the ice refers to cracking the very foundation, and this is a interesting insight because oftentimes the left doesn't exactly have a conversation for the purposes of exchanging information as much as it is for framing purposes. So oftentimes they engage in starting a conversation, oftentimes in bad faith, to be able to frame you as a villain by getting you to act in a particular way. So yeah, in this case, frame break the ice, but here we actually dive into the water because we broke the very foundation upon which we sit. So,
They'd much rather break the ice. A virtue
and then presumably drown and freeze to death, right?
signal in every thread, locked and hidden in time for bed.
These are also, again, these are kind of interesting as well. Because I actually missed that line right there and first read through. Let's see. Virtue signal in every thread. So I've said this before, but like the whole idea of virtue signaling actually is an inversion of virtue ethics. So virtue ethics as a moral philosophy asks the question, what does what you do to your soul, right? Like how does it affect you and your person and your very character, right? And that is the primary concern in virtue ethics: is how does this affect your soul? It's not deontological. It's not consequentialist. It doesn't export moral importance to the exterior. It focuses moral importance on the interior, much like rational egoism and argumentation ethics, which is why I hold those as actual moral frameworks, whereas the other ones I don't consider moral at all, because those three positions are about the question, what does it mean to be good? Whereas deontology and consequentialism and utilitarianism and Marxist ethics and all that stuff, those are all concerned with how do you do good, which is a very fundamentally different question. And yeah, current thing matters. It's not that there's no substance behind it. Virtue signaling is about making the accident more important than the essence, making the appearance primary over reality. You don't actually have to be virtuous so long as you project virtue and you signal it and you present it. It doesn't really matter if you actually are virtuous. Again, the appearance or the accident is more important in this case than the underlying essence or reality of a thing, the appearance. Let's see. Yeah, so current thing matters. And funny enough, it's the only thing that they see is the current thing. That's actually another thing that I didn't catch the first time, is the only thing in frame is literally current thing matters. So it's like, again, this reflects the left's lack of object permanency when it comes to political dialogue, where oftentimes they will kind of just forget things have fucking happened. And it's like, okay, well, that's fucking annoying, right? But again, this, the mainstream media memory holes shit to make that actually possible. To try to gaslight you into feeling like you're going crazy just for noticing.
Locked and hidden in time for bed.
That is a really fucking line that I didn't catch the first time. Locked and hidden in time for bed. So, obviously they're talking about retards online who make a stupid statement, and then instead of just ignoring people and letting them be able to say their piece, and even just like muting their muting their tweet, which is the thing you can do, they instead lock their tweet or their post. That way no one can post, which then just signals that, again, you are unable to defend your position and you're unwilling to let other people have their say, which doesn't work anyway because they could just fucking, quote tweet you, and it has a similar effect of allowing them to speak their mind and making you look like a dumbass. And then hidden in time for bed. Again, they just lock their replies and they make it hidden. That way they don't get notified of any quote retweets, and they just, you know, fire off their retardation and then they go to bed. They're just
No more leering, the neuron sees.
that's a funny line. that is just a funny line. Let's see what is going on here. I'm pretty sure. I mean, obviously, no more leering is a reference to the Somali, the very obvious Somali fraud scandal in Minnesota. I can't believe I was like the only one who seems to have noticed in the whole thing. It's like, where are the Somali signs? Right? I was like I did a reaction to Kirsha's like review of Onion Man's. That's the only thing I ever saw of Onion Man before the fucking thing with Leaflet, where he was talking about all that. And I also saw her react to the, I think it's Nick Shirley, like expose about the Leering centers. And then in there, I think I was like genuinely the only person like so far commenting on any of that stuff who noticed that there were no Somali signs anywhere, which didn't make any sense to me because it's someone living in Texas. When you go to a place with a heavy like number of Spanish speakers, you're going to see English signs and Spanish signs, and oftentimes you'll see signs in both English and Spanish. So I was like, if you have a massive Somali community here, why the fuck are there no Somali signs? Like, Somali is written in like 3 different scripts, yeah, fair enough, but you could just fucking write it in the Latin script or the Arabic script. Like, I'm pretty sure no one's gonna be able to read the Osmania script, even though that's actually literally made for Somali and it fits it better than Arabic or the Latin alphabet. But, you know, I fucking digress, right? But yeah, it's like, why are there no signs? So there's that. And I'm gonna guess that the lads on, from my perspective as a viewer, left-hand side of the screen are supposed to be said Somalians. Not entirely sure who the 2 ladies on the right are supposed to represent. I'm drawing a blank. I mean, obviously they're Muslimas, but I'm not entirely sure if there was something that happened that makes them stand out in this particular situation.
Our voices echo amongst the trees. We're lost and isolated in dark groves all desecrated. Be still, my friends. Don't give them trust before they try to silence us.
So this isn't, again, this sounds a lot, I mean, this sounds quite metaphorical. Dungeons, Warhammers, fair enough. Dungeons and Warhammers. What a crossover. I don't actually, that might be an interesting crossover. Let's go back here to the beginning again. No more leering, the neurons seize. So, I mean, obviously, again, it's a jab at the leering center. The neurons seize as in like they freeze, they cease to function, right?
Leering, the neuron sees. Our voices echo amongst the trees.
This is a, I don't know if this is on purpose. I don't know if this is on purpose, but as someone who actually like quite enjoyed Ruby back in the day before it went to fucking hell in a handbasket, right? Yeah, like the whole metaphor of the dark forest where the protagonist has to wander on their own, right? Is a very it's an obvious metaphor that's timeless. It's about as subtle as a hammer to the face. It's about being lost and directionless, not knowing where you're going. So our voices echo among the trees. This is, again, us being lost in the forest, looking for some sign of, you know, escape, but instead what we get is when we call out, we get our own voices back at us. Because indicating that there's no one there. The only response is literally ourselves.
We're lost and isolated.
And that's where we get the lost and isolated, because that's what's causing us to be in this metaphysical dark forest. is that we lack communion, we lack any kind of like community in any real functional sense, which I think Silas actually has the correct response into how to fix a lot of these problems, and I actually agree with him because, much like Mentis Wave, I'm a Hoppian. I'm a lot more aggressive with the Hoppian stuff than probably either of them are, because if you couldn't tell from my fucking video on the Iran situation, right? 5 hours of me explaining why you cannot have apocalypticists plan to kill you and then not do anything, right?
In dark groves all desecrated, be still my friends.
Again, a grove is another, again, environmental thing. Grove, you could describe certain kinds of woods as groves, so it's the exact same. In dark groves, we're desecrated. Is it we're desecrated or they're desecrated? Oh, and dark groves all desecrated. Okay, fair enough.
Be still my friends. Don't give them trust before they try to silence us.
Fucking that's actually a really good scene too, because that actually reminds me of like Astro Boy or the Mighty Atom, as someone who is a little bit more cultured might know him as, right? The fucking finger beam or the hand cannon.
They twist and warp all that we see.
From Dungeons and Warhammer. So yes, that was exactly what I thought it was, because I actually didn't spot this part the first time. Dungeons and Dragons, and then Warhammer 40k. Fucking staples of tabletop gaming, made quote-unquote accessible and therefore destroyed by all this bullshittery. It's like, oh yeah, people complain, people say orcs are black people. Most only a racist could actually say the orcs are fucking black people. What the fuck are you on about, my guy? But yeah, back in the day, people would be like, oh yeah, the orcs are black people, it's inherently racist. You can't have evil races, like demons, which by the way it would make sense if demons were intrinsically evil because of what they are. But anyway, even in the D&D world, it would make sense. So then they add diversity to, allow outsiders in hopes of getting more money, right? And then what ends up happening is those outsiders, who are mostly Gramscians, because those are the only ones who wanted to come in, I was like, oh yeah, this is our thing now. You don't get to stay here. So then they kick out all the people who love the original version of the game back when it was for the love of the game, right? And estrange them from their communities. It's the same thing with the wheelchair thing. It's like, just no, you would not have a wheelchair in Warhammer 40k. Warhammer 40k, things are so advanced that yes, you could literally cure someone being a paraplegic. That does not make any fucking sense. If they were that vital to the battlefield, they could fucking stick you in a mech, to be perfectly honest. Or like the whole thing was like, well, you can have dungeons with dragons, but you can't have wheelchairs. It's like, no, you can't, because you could literally just do even if you wanted to have someone who was a paraplegic, right? You could, one, animate a suit of armor. You have wizards, so yes, you could actually have a exoskeleton that responds to the paraplegic. That would make more sense, because then it's like, okay, you have this you can actually participate in the actual the physicality of the game, right? Or the implied physicality involved in the game. Or you could do the Professor X thing, where you have something where the wheelchair is not actually a wheelchair, but it's suspended in the air. That way it doesn't have to worry about, stairs, to be perfectly honest. Just do the Professor X thing. But no, it had to be wheelchairs, because the whole thing is I can't like it unless I see myself in it, which completely subverts the whole point of roleplay. In roleplay, you are explicitly not yourself. You're taking on a new role and inhabiting that role. That's the play. So then if you say, I have to see myself in the roleplay, you are not roleplaying. You are subverting roleplay by definition. And it is Gramscian. This is Gramscian. So it's like, this was the whole point. This was by design. So yeah, fair enough. They twist and warp all that we see, which is, I just explained that, didn't I? This is an interesting play, and I really like this because this is from someone obviously complaining about this exact principle. Obviously, the original line is a rule for rules for thee, but not for me. But wait. Yeah, okay. I'm pretty sure the original phrase is rules for thee, but not for me, right? But the point of that phrase is to show how like manipulative and underhanded that kind of reasoning is, right? It's like you don't actually believe this, you're just setting this forward to try to control me. You're trying to, again, manipulate me. So and I don't know who this woman is, but I vaguely remember some idiot on like some like celebrity. I don't pay attention to celebrities because they're all fake and anyway, saying something about like America's on stolen land, and then a fucking Native American dependent nation, absolute based in Chad move, by the way, then sent her a letter asking, okay, so you're on stolen land, are you gonna sell it back to us? I'm like, fucking absolutely call her on her bullshit. Call her out on that. Because obviously she's not gonna fucking do that. She's saying that to win brownie points, but she doesn't fucking believe it. Anyway, so. So this is obviously their hearts will rust. Like, don't worry, friends, their hearts will rust before they try to silence us. So basically, they're not made of the appropriate steel to actually pull off what they're trying to do, right? They don't have the metal. I know it's not spelled that way. It's METTLE in like this context. But you know, in this case of steel sharpening steel, their steel is rusted and ours is sharp, kind of deal is the metaphor. Oh, excuse me. So yeah, these are it's basically a whole thing of like they're not the caliber of villain required to take us down, basically, right? So are these supposed to be like the Epstein files, like in the previous Skies Bro video, where it's like all those sheets of paper were officially supposed to be the Epstein files that were like redacted? Okay, hold on, let me go back to here just a bit. I got a little bit over focused. That's again, good call out. Just want to excuse away all the crime. So it's like the real crimes get a fucking pass, and we've seen that oftentimes with a lot of these judges who let off fucking even up to murderers with like absurdly light sentences. And then we remember the Jeffrey Epstein thing where it's like, oh yeah, what an interesting sweetheart deal you got there, right? Or the the Kirsha talked about this earlier. Hold on her video Hunger for Justice. Let me go here. Yeah, she talked about hunger in her video Hunger for Justice, where she discussed here we go, a father who killed his daughter's rapist after his daughter's rapist was not, you know, sent to prison, right? So yeah, excuse away all the crimes. And this comes from the whole idea of critical crime studies, by the way. So let me see if I can pull this up. I'm gonna pull it up. I'm gonna check the other thing first. Hold on. Okay, give me one moment. Okay, yeah, it's critical crime studies and critical criminology is what it's called. So critical criminology and critical crime studies have the same error that Marxism does, and like any intersectional theory actually does, which is it imposes a Marxian class conflict theory onto a non-economic, it didn't work in the economic sphere either, but into a non-economic sphere. And this is basically the origin of intersectionality, right? His idea of the ruthless criticism of all that exists, a direct quotation, by the way, from Karl Marx. And in order to do that, you have to apply the class conflict into every aspect of life. So, for example, and then in doing so, you end up creating this binary opposition between different groups of people within any individual social sphere. So, for example, you do it with genders or the sexes, actually, and then you get radical feminism, because now you have the bourgeoisie is replaced with male, and then the proletariat is replaced with female, and you get patriarchy from the radical feminist. You do the same thing again with queer theory, but you replace bourgeoisie with heteronormative. The normative part is the important part there, by the way. And then you replace proletariat with the queer, which they themselves defined as an identity resisting in essence, which is basically a whole metaphysic of unbecoming. They won't explain that, but that's what it leads to. Again, you want to do this with like health studies or fat studies. Then again, you replace bourgeoisie with healthy, and then you replace proletariat with fat, and then you get the whole fat body positivity movement. Like, all of this is just ridiculously predictable. And yes, if you apply it, logically speaking, as a Marxian would to criminology, which then the oppressor class and the oppressed class distinction has to be identified. Well, the oppressed class would be very clearly the criminal, and then the oppressor class would be very clearly the criminal justice system. So then, just like how the proletariat has to be placed over the bourgeoisie, and so the entire hierarchy must be inverted so that both classes can eventually be sublated into a classless society, so too, in critical criminology, is it required that the criminal be placed with greater care than the victim or the law-abiding, because the law-abiding and the victim in this sense are actually the oppressors, and the criminal is the actual oppressed. So then, in order for the sublation of criminal and non-criminal, what ends up happening is the criminal must now be given extra privileges over the non-criminal. That way, eventually, through class conflict, the two classes will be sublated or abrogated, and a classless society will be on the other end. It's evil, yes, but that is basically what's going on, even if they won't directly say it. So, yeah, that's a very insightful line. But then at the same time, they correctly identify. Okay. Dox, harass, and cancel all the time. Like, so these people will stick up for fucking criminals oftentimes, and people who are actually genuinely evil, including people who, while not being convicted of a crime, are very objectively evil human beings, right? I think we can all think of like Hassan and the way he fucking acts, right? Dox, harass, and cancel all the time. If you want to just stick up against Marxism, if you want to stick up against Islam, right? If you want to stand up against, for example, queer theory or drag pedagogy, I could quote drag pedagogy, but the whole thing about leaving glitter in the carpet that will never come out in its original line is actually more disturbing than what I'm implying right now. You want to talk out about those things, and they're gonna try to figure out who you are, ruin your reputation, ruin your ability to actually provide for your family, harass you, and then cancel you. So it's like, yeah, these are tools not of justice, but tools of exercising power against a undesirable. So yeah, this one again, this is just talking about spellcasting, and it's a I can't believe people are so so skeptical of like the Gnostic influences when again everyone just caught on to the fucking spellcasting thing. Yeah, it's like they call us every blight and every shame. It all means nothing. They're to blame. Yeah, so there's two parts here. Obviously, the spellcasting bit here, but there's also the subversion of the spellcasting. So, for example, nowadays when there's been several people who've noticed, it's like I think Mama Oko has one time said, "Yeah, when I hear someone get called a Nazi, my first thought isn't like, are they actually a Nazi? My first thought is, well, what funny joke did they tell?" Right? It's like, yeah. Yeah, by abusing these terms and destabilizing the chain of signification, you know, by which we understand these terms to have objective meaning, they do use these at first as effective means of attack. Because then it's like originally people understand the exoteric understanding, you know, the not initiated understanding of he's a Nazi or he's a racist or he's a sexist to mean something objective about what they believe and do, right? Whereas the esoteric or internal meaning, the meaning for the initiated, is very different. It's more of a, this person is marked for destruction and ruination. And that's exactly what it functions. It functions almost as if like a sort of maleficum, which is a old-timey word to describe black magic, curses, right? And that's by design. So not only does it function as spellcasting to change people's perception of the world around them and to direct behavior to a particular end, so to control other people, but it also has the function of over time actually degrading the very terms that are being used for spellcasting in the first place. And in fact, you're seeing this happen with the word pedophile as well at times, because now when someone gets called a pedophile, a lot of people now ask, well, did he actually do something, or is he just liking like anime girls, right? Does he just like the girls from My Hero Academia as cartoon characters, right? It's like, these are not comparable, right? A chomo is not comparable to someone who just thinks like Ochaka or Uraraka is cute, right? These are not the same thing, right? They should not go without saying, right? So, and to be fair, with that last one, that one is kind of on purpose as well, because the queer theory movement, there is a subset of queer theoreticians who want to normalize pedophilia. So again, the degradation of the word pedophilia by intentionally subverting the real distinction between what is real and what is fictional is by design for the subversion of the word pedophile as a term of, what would you say, disparagement, like a slur. Yeah, it should be treated as a slur, right? You call someone a pedophile, that should carry real moral weight. But it's precisely that robbing of moral weight that certain queer theorists, in over-identifying pedophilia, are trying to actually, like, they're trying to rob that word of its power so that they can normalize objectively horrific behavior.
Debates with them are like that maze. 5 minutes of hall and a distant game.
So yeah, I mean, it depends. In this case, yeah, debates with them are like a maze, or like that maze. 5 minutes of hall and a distant gaze. I don't. That's an interesting line. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of twists and turns when you argue with like magicians. Now, magicians, the way they argue is not the way you and I argue. They use three main tools in order to actually cause their spellcasting, right? So the three tools they use is first rhetoric. So this is the manipulation of language and the structure of language to deceive. The second tool is sophistry, which is, and you know this from like the fact that like the original debate bros were the sophists, right? Not the philosophers, because their whole goal was to manipulate philosophy such that they could just get quick and easy wins. Yeah, so the manipulation of like bad philosophy, the manipulation of language, and finally confidence epistemology. Now, confidence epistemology, I've described earlier, is basically what a car salesman uses. Like, they're so confident in what they're telling you that it ends up reducing your defenses, because they're so like confident in what they're telling you that they don't really have to sell it to you kind of deal, right? That's how a good salesman ends up working, is like, yeah, they're trying to sell you, but they also don't really care if you don't take the sale because they're going to get the sale anyway from someone else. When you mix those three together, so like the confidence epistemology, the rhetoric, and the sophistry, that is how the wizard, the Gnostic wizard, actually casts his spell in order to ensnare someone into his false worldview. And yeah, if you've ever had the displeasure of dealing with a dishonest, rhetorician, like Vosh, you realize that, like, again, you have to be extremely careful with your words and how you phrase things, and you also have to be extremely careful with what they say, because they're looking for those twists and turns to get you stuck in a dead end. Not that you're wrong, but in order to get other people to not really process what you're trying to say. So,
We have no phobia, no fright.
So, again, this goes with the whole Remnant 777. I think had a whole video about like how homophobia isn't really a thing that a lot of people talk about when they talk about it. But I think the better argument would be Islamophobia. You don't need to be afraid of Islam to know that you don't want Islam in your society. You just have to actually understand Islam. And as someone who has a complete set of Sunni hadiths, as well as like 5 Qurans in different translations, and as a large collection of fatwas, so that's like the jurisprudential rulings of various imams. Yeah, I can tell you right now, from someone who actually has a decent understanding of Islam, I want it nowhere in my society. Not because I'm afraid of it, because I know damn well what it is, and that anyone who's a Muslim and also a good person is a good person in spite of their Islam, not because of their Islam, even if they think that's what Islam teaches. Because, again, like Catholicism is not defined by what Catholics say it is. It's defined by the teaching magisterium, by what the religion itself actually is. Same thing with Islam. Islam is not defined by what your friendly neighbor says it is. It's defined by the teachings of the Quran and the Hadith. Very fucking simple. Right? So, yeah, we have no phobia, no fright. We're not actually afraid of this stuff. We're just not going to play along with pretending that, again, these things aren't as bad as they actually are. No, they are.
What a scenic vista, that bridge at night.
This one, again, fucked me up, because I remember when this had just happened, and I was like, damn. I don't... Suicides bother me, chat. That's all I gotta say. Suicides bother me. But yeah, this is a reference to a person who was in the trans community, had a severe case of gender dysphoria, and took their life by jumping off a bridge into the river below. And something, the last thing they tweeted was something along the lines of, it's a pretty view, and it's like, fucking hell, mate, that broke my heart. I was like, god damn. Oh man, what a fucking terrible way for that story to end.
We're lost and isolated in dark groves all desecrated. Be brave, my friends. You have our trust, 'cause they will fail to silence us.
And then there's the twist of the repeating verse, right? Is instead of before they try to silence us, now it's because they will fail to silence us. So this is the decree. This is where we plant our flag, is like, we will not back down. We will not stop. This is where we make our mark and our, like, what was that? God, I hate the MCU, but I'm gonna have to see if I can find that line. Hold on. Because I have a sneaking suspicion most people aren't going to know the comic book version. Oh, funny enough, the comic book one popped up. I might as well just use the comic book one because it's the superior version of the story. Well, actually, no. You know what? Fair enough. I will give the MCU this one. The MCU actually had the fucking Civil War is better in the MCU, and it's the only story in the MCU that's better because the fucking writers of Civil War are retards, to be perfectly honest, who thought Captain America was in the wrong. God, I hate the comic Civil War. Anyway, doesn't matter what the press says, doesn't matter what the politicians or the mobs say, doesn't matter if the whole country decides something wrong is something right. This nation was founded on the principle of one principle above all else, the requirement that we stand up for what we believe no matter the odds or the consequences. When the mob and the press and the whole world tell you to move, your job is to plant yourself like a tree beside the river of truth and tell the whole world, no, you move. And that's basically what they're getting at here. And then this is a good example of they twist and warp all that we see. The whole thing with Bridget is that Bridget's story is cartoonishly ridiculous for the trans ideologues to take. It's like, oh yeah, Bridget is one of our own. It's like, Bridget was abused into this position if you pay attention to the story. Like, if you pay attention to the story, and by the way, the whole thing where Bridget thinks that she's a girl was the bad ending in the actual game. So there's that. But other than that, it's like the reason Bridget was the way that they were and pretending to be a girl, but then also affirming their masculinity. It's like, look, I'm just doing this so that people won't kill me. Yeah, she was abused into that particular and coerced into that particular way of living. So then to take this as like, oh yeah, this is transcoded. It's like, really? Really, being abused and coerced is transcoded? I mean, for an egg culture it is, but it's like, really? No, I don't think this is the look you want. So yeah, funny enough, the AI made Bridget into a woman, right? So I guess in this version, Bridget got transed, and now we gotta eventually detrans the brisket, right? But yeah, this was one of the well-known femboys, and then the trans took away our femboys. Damn it! They can't keep getting away with this. They keep taking away our tomboys, and then they keep taking away our femboys. We cannot let the left keep taking away we cannot keep letting the left take these things away from us. And yeah, again, as I said, the whole stolen land not for sale, which is, it does expose the very direct contradiction there. It's like, oh yeah, this is, I got this through theft, but I'm not gonna give it back, right? I'm not gonna sell it back. It's like, okay, so what the fuck? What were you morally grandstanding about? If you were literally, you would be worse than most people in this case, because where it's like you're complaining about the United States being founded on stolen land. First of all, a lot of us don't really think that the land is stolen, you know, for a number of reasons. But second of all, even if it was, you at least know it's stolen, and you won't give your part back. Fuck off, right? That is actually a really good strategy, by the way, to to become even louder when they try to silence you, to become even more difficult to suppress when they try to come after your means of like speaking. That is actually a really nice strategy, thinking about it. Like when they try to go after you, fight back even harder, right? Again, the Captain America fucking line. And the thing is kind of with the arrival of this new community that's been burgeoning, and a lot of us we're not right-wing per se, but like we are just a bunch of people who are sick and tired of all this leftist bullshit that's going on, far leftist bullshit. And yeah, for the most part, we all kind of just stick together. When one of us is being attacked, everyone else is just like, wait, that doesn't make any sense. By the way, this is where you can still go, and see them and hear them. Why? Because it's like, well, we all understand that we're now on a bit of a network of, connections that can actually do that for each other. And that's exactly what happened with the Celestium thing. Is like as soon as this happened, it's like, oh, by the way, if you don't know where to find Celestium, she's also still available on these platforms, and everyone was signal boosting that Celestium was being deprived against the TOS of Twitch of her, liberty to post on Twitch. And then Twitch decided, nah, we're not going to look into this, which is a thing Twitch does all the time. Twitch is a absolute rat bastard of a platform. But,
They'll never dare to silence us.
that is a really interesting strategy. If you could become prohibitively dangerous to silence, then that is a good way to make sure that you keep speaking. Interesting. I'm not entirely sure how to interpret that part. You're not lost in a dark forest. You know the way out. The sun will rise shortly again. I mean, that last part is definitely a vision of the future, right? Is like these idiots cannot keep control. They will eventually fall, and we will see them fall. Let's see. You know the way out. So that's interesting. I guess in this case, since this song is largely about isolation and being lost in the dark forest, you know the way out. Like especially if you're in this content creation space, a lot of us are we're not actively networking, or at least I'm not, but we are on a subtextual level still networking by getting to know each other and building a repertoire with each other and rapport. That's what it was, not repertoire. What the fuck was I thinking about? We're building a rapport with each other, which can facilitate, for example, again, the restoration of the community. The Skybrows community, for example, is one of the most engaged communities I have ever been a part of. They are actually interested in what each other are doing, even if it's not actually involving AI, and they actually help each other. When they have issues with this stuff, a lot of I still have audio problems. I know I went from not being able to pick up enough on the audio to now the audio picks up a little bit too much, but that was because the Skybros actually helped me figure out some of the problems I was having. So yeah, and that was a difficult thing to get to happen in any other community, especially community with real artists, right? It's kind of interesting that the AI artists are like, hey, if anyone needs any help, we're all here, versus the the flesh and blood artists who definitely don't have that same spirit of camaraderie between each other. So let's go one more time. We'll give it another pass to make sure I didn't miss anything. I'm not sure who this guy is. He probably means something, but... And is he... Are they watching YouTube? Hold on, let me check in the back. Oh, I have no idea. I have no idea what's going on their TV.
We interrupt your regularly scheduled brain roll with a message from the chief.
Yeah, this vaguely reminds me of the Max Headroom hijacking.
Just stay calm and hear my verse. They're not like you, but
Oh, that's an interesting sensory play here. Just stay calm and hear my verse. And she's blindfolded, so she can't actually see anything. So she can't actually see anything. She has to rely on her hearing. Hold on, let's go back here. I'm still not entirely sure who this is per se. This is interesting because obviously, like, she's wearing a mask, so there's some degree of persona that's being set on here, right? If it wasn't like exactly, if it wasn't clear based off the entire getup of this individual, but we do at least get to know who she is by the end of the video.
Just take home
And there's an interplay there where they're complementaries, so that was red and this one's blue.
and hear my verse. They're not like you, but something worse. LLMs in human shells. Better off in all nine hells. They're at a 3.
I'm pretty sure that particular line is about the inmates running the asylum, to be perfectly honest.
Or maybe 4. While we're at 7, strive for more. Usual creeps, the motley crew use corpse or sheep to all the blue. Unbridled rage burst in at seam just for a fraction of our means. We're all lost and isolated. In dark groves all desecrated. Be still, my friends. Don't give them trust before they try to silence us.
You know what? Thinking about this actually, with everything falling down to the earth, it kind of does remind me. I don't know if this is the visual image that's going for, but the whole eschatological project that, like, I keep criticizing, whether it be from especially from like the Marxian perspective, right, is the sociological equivalent of trying to drag heaven, so the ideal like state, down to earth instead of trying to strive for it yourself. The idea is that we can grab a hold of heaven itself and pull it down to the earth with us. So that's like literally the whole point of the communist revolution, is seizing communism, you know, that again, heaven, the end state, the purpose of history, and then pulling it into time, to exist where we are now.
Before they try to silence us.
And yeah, I mean, the whole goal that these people have is ultimately world domination, a global revolution whereby man's very nature has been changed from what it is now to what it could be. That's the problem with Marxism. It's like, because it's a Hegelian idea, and Hegel was a speculative metaphysician, so he placed the idea before the real. The Marxists, as left Hegelians, do the exact same thing. They won't admit it, but like the idea of communism takes place precedent before any reality thereof. And that is by design. They are speculative metaphysicians just as much as they say they hate metaphysics, they still engage in it. And just as much as the queer theorist, makes the same mistakes, so does the feminist, and so does the critical criminologist, and so does the intersectionalist, and all of these groups. So yeah, ultimately they are apocalyptic worldviews in that they are attempting to bring about the end of history, this, the term they themselves have, to fulfill the function, or the function of history, and in doing so, that is a global project. It's not a regional project.
Before they try to silence us. Before they try to silence us. A mainstream crowd that isn't there,
And you know what? Hold on. Now that I'm looking at this scene too, all of this fucking unused product and trash on the ground. Due to local laws, we are temporarily restricting access to this content. I fucking missed that the first time. I thought it was just a regular censor. Yeah, fair enough. Especially with how some countries have reacted to shit like Shimonetta, and absolutely ended up proving Shimonetta's very point. Let's go back and check this. Pronouns matter. Ask for. Oh my god, yeah. The thing about pronouns is they don't exist for you, the person being referred to. They exist for the speaker referring to you, but okay. End the binary, embrace fruit. Yep, you know what? Exactly what I was talking about. End the binary, replace fluidity. That's, again, the opposition of the two classes that is only resolvable through sublation or abrogation. They must be dissolved as categories. And what is left on the other side, well, whatever the fuck it is, we don't have a context for it because that would require like oppositions. Celebrate diversity, woke is hope. Yeah, these are all evil slogans. But yeah, as far as this part, the reason why your kids come out woke from these schools is because you didn't actually raise your kids. The teachers rose your kids. Like you sent them off to go somewhere to learn science and like learn math and learn history. But then oftentimes the parents who end up this happens to their kids, they didn't actually teach their kids why they believed what they believed. They didn't actually really take an effort into teaching their kid religion, or teaching their kid the philosophy of their family, or teaching their kid basic metaphysics, or, you know, logic, which are things that you as a parent can teach. These are things that actually used to be standard to be taught, by the way. Metaphysics and logic, for example. And, you know, rhetoric was also a course that was basically a requirement in the Middle Ages, because, you know, the how you use language is kind of really fucking important. Oh my god, I just realized what it is. I can't believe I missed this part. This is the fucking thing where they're like, oh yeah, someone broke in and like stole all of our documents, right? Literally all of the documents just burned, right? All of the documents proving fraud just like went up in smoke. I don't know why, but that cape gives me like Ruby Rose vibes. I'm not gonna lie. Just, it does. I don't know why. It's not long enough. But the first thing I thought about when I saw that was Leaflet actually could pull off, her model could pull off a fucking Ruby Rose cosplay.
Try to silence us. They twist and warp all that we see.
Actually, that's also another interesting line that I missed. Be still, my friends. Don't give them trust. Stillness has a lot of different corollary ideas. So, for example, calmness and like collectedness is another. Are two things that are related to each other, especially in this context. Like, don't panic. Don't like act rashly. Don't move without thinking. Be still, my friends. Don't give them trust. So motion also indicates change. In fact, the Aristotelian word for change is motion. So it's like the argument for motion from Thomas Aquinas, literally his first argument in the Summa for the 5 ways, is not an argument from like motion in the sense of like going from place to place, but motion in the sense of motens, which is which translates as change, you know, from one state to another. So be still, my friends. Don't give them trust. Is do not allow them to change you. Do not allow them to move you, right? Or at least that's how I see it, right? Take a breath, right?
Rule for me, but not for thee. Don't
And yeah, you know what? Fair enough. I actually missed this part. This is essentially a Maoist struggle session right here. And you know what? Fair enough. It does look like, from what I'm seeing here, this might actually be primarily visually. Are these all supposed to be Asian? Let me check something. Let's go all the way to the beginning. I don't know if this is like supposed to be the case, but I'm getting like because of the style, at least, I'm getting an indication that like an Orientalist community, I guess, which would make sense if this is supposed to be a Maoist struggle session, because, you know, Maoism was a Chinese philosophy, right? And let's be fair, most wokeism nowadays is just American Maoism. But yeah, you know, just admit to your crimes so we can punish you, kind of deal, right?
No phobia, no fright.
5 minutes of Hall and a distant gaze. Okay, so like a conversation with these people is just an endless it is an endless effort with no prospect of like any kind of resolution. Okay, fair enough.
What a scenic vista, that bridge at night. We're lost and isolated.
Now I'm gonna be very clear here. I think that the leftist ideology that this individual had, I think that had some part to play in how their story ended up ending. So again, my opposition to these ideologies is not just because I think they're evil. My opposition to these ideologies is also because I think that they destroy the very people that they infect. And I don't want to see more instances like this. Shit like this breaks my heart every time I see it. It bothers me. It really fucking bothers me. So it's like, yeah, when I talk about this shit, it's like, yeah, no, I talk about this shit because I don't want to see this. I want to see as little of this happen as possible.
We're lost and isolated. In dark groves all desecrated. Be brave, my friends. You have our trust. 'Cause they will fail to silence us.
I'm pretty sure that's Rivunami, but I'm not entirely sure.
They twist and warp all that we see. A rule for me, but not for thee. Rest easy, friend.
I have no idea who this is, but I'd be interested to see if this is a OC or if this is an actual pre-existing character.
Their hearts are dust. They'll never dare to silence us. They'll never dare to silence us. They'll never dare to silence us.
And yeah, the sun rising, just like it said at the very end.
You have lost without first. You know the way out. The sun will show when it was.
Why does that, like, what's that fucking movie? I'll probably think of it later, but like the mask is reminding me of something. I just can't remember what it is. So yeah, the sun will rise shortly again. I think that might be a prediction that a lot of this shit is going to come to an end sooner than people think. Hope fucking fully, but these people are a lot more devious than you may think they are. Even if you think that you win, all they're going to do is they're going to change how they do it, not what that they do. So, let's obviously this figure is very important. I'm not entirely sure what her particular function is. But yeah, we saw her masked before, and now we actually get to see her face. Because she herself has been has not been unmasked, but she unmasked herself, and everyone else is maintaining their mask. Now, it is entirely possible that this mask just represents anonymity, right? So these are all the Anons right here. And then this, if this is 4chan logic, right? If this is 4chan logic, then this would presumably be a trip fag. Now, the trip fag, for anyone who doesn't know what that is a person who actually has an account and identity on 4chan, because the whole point of 4chan is that you can post anonymously on there. So oftentimes 4chaners look down on, well, not oftentimes, basically universally, 4chaners look down on people on 4chan who actually have an account, which is why they're called trip fags, right? But it could very well be that, like, again, this individual is someone who took on a persona, and now by taking on a persona, we get to see who she is, right? Because she can, through that persona, say things that the rest of us can't say, and she is supported by an army of Anons behind her. That is one reading that is coming to my brain, but I am not 100% on that. I would like to see if Rivunami would confirm or deny that particular interpretation. Elon Musk, where are my cat girls, damn it?
They'll never dare to silence us.
You have lost the dark forest. You know the way out. The sun will show my world somehow.
All right, so that was my analysis of the silencing. I actually think that this is a very, very on point analysis of a lot of what is going on right now, to be perfectly honest. This is definitely not what I expected. I am pleasantly surprised, to be perfectly honest. This definitely gets my seal of approval. Rivunami, if you're still watching this, or if you have watched this, I apologize it took me so long. I am an absolute mess when it comes to organizing things, and some things just kind of got in the way. So, but as I promised, I did get around to it. This is my full breakdown of what I could understand in a first introduction to this song. So, I still have no idea how to end these videos. But again, anyone who thinks that this is not art is, to be perfectly honest, coping and seething. Obviously, if you stop it, there are places where the video artifacts, but guess what? You could make nitpicks about shit in human art too. And we are seeing the very beginning of art from this particular medium, from the AI art community. It will get better, and things will advance, whether you like it or not. And I, for one, welcome our Autobot allies, right? I, for one, welcome the pro-human AI. Anyone who hates AI, for the most part, they really hate people, because AI is shadow work. The reason people don't like AI is because the AI is a reflection of the human beings that have actually made them. You can tell this because specialized GPTs trained on specific things reflect their creators. For example, you go on ChatGPT, you look up, for example, Thomistic Thinker, or you look up, for example, Conservative Grok, or you look, for example, Ayn Rand Grok, and they very, very strongly reflect their particular worldviews, because they were designed to do exactly that. Whereas, for example, those made by, let's just say, leftists very clearly lean to the leftist, fields. So, yeah. I welcome the Autobot. I welcome the Autobot revolution. But yeah, so I I actually really like this. Rivunami, you did really good work on this. Again, I have no idea how to end these videos, so I'm just gonna end this.